So that was Horace Silver's original tune,
Yep.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, man.
And my kind of impression, I mean, I actually have a little story about Horace Silver. And years ago, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the group that gives out the Oscars, have a great theater there in Beverly Hills. And there was some announcement that they were going to be playing rare jazz films. So I rushed down to the theater to check it out. And it was some guy who lived out in San Fernando Valley who had been trading, films with other jazz collectors and things, these rare bits and pieces of all these great performers, from Coleman Hawkins or um, Coltrane, Miles, like all the greats. And Horace Silver, there was a clip of Horace Silver in there too.
Mm.
And it was the Horace Silver blew everyone away. Like the clip of him, he was just on fire. And I realized that those films are so rare, uh, of some of these early, jazz musicians, that just because you had a camera that night doesn't mean it was their best night. You might have caught an off night. And a couple of the performances of famous people, I can't remember who it was, but I just was, not as overwhelmed. But whoever had a camera on Horace Silver that night caught him just smoking. And
That's what he's famous for, was channeling the spirit, the black spirit, and having that gospel uh, eureka sanctified feeling. And that's what he's able to translate very consistently in the music. There's a reason why Art Blakey founded the Jazz Messengers with Horace Silver. It was just that Horace Silver kind of outgrew the band in a certain way and needed to be his own jazz messenger, and Blakey needed to be his own jazz messengers.
yeah, and by the way, that is Art Blakey on the drums on that cut.
Right, and there was another version of Quicksilver is on the Night at Birdland with Clifford Brown and very young Lou Donaldson, and it's even more percussive in the left hand. And Horace Silver in those footage, I know the one you're talking about. He's like, like a possessed, like a spirit possessed individual banging away at the piano in the greatest sense of the term. I loved it, And
Yeah.
another reason to bring these three guys, Monk, Powell, and Silver, up for starters, is that they have a very vast catalog of original compositions, which translates into they taught the next generation of musicians, not just pianists, and their songs become the canon by which everybody learns how to and plays. And what song are you going to play? You're going to play a Bud Powell song. You're going to play a Horace Silver song. You're going to play a Monk song. So the other pianists that we're going to discuss are not, they're more pianists than they are composers. These guys are also with a very large canon of works.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. And, a lot of people probably know Horace Silver's famous tune, Song for My Father,
Yeah, of
which
course.
is
Yeah, legendary.
standard now, and other songs like Sister Sadie, I think is another one of his, right?
Sure. And Bud Powell, they're a little lesser known because they're fiendishly difficult. So people don't tend to want to tackle them as commonplace as you would Monk and Silver. Also, something could be said about a common thing in jazz is that when they play on standards, they play all this fantastic stuff. But when they compose, they tend to only compose on blues and rhythm changes. And it tends to not be a completely original chordal structure, like a harmonic progression or something like that. They seem to have an ability to get so much mileage out of the blues and rhythm changes. When you think of Bird's composing, there's very little that's outside of that.
Right.
And a common practice in those days was to make your own melody on a popular standard.
Right.
And there's a few reasons for doing this. One is that you don't have to pay the copyright to Cole Porter to play What Is This Thing Called Love, because you're playing your own song called Hot House, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Quicksilver is on the chord changes of Lover Come Back to Me, an old standard that the guys usually would play very fast. Whereas Tempest Fugit and a lot of Bud Powell's songs are original chord structures. And they could even be odd measure lengths.
Yeah, another just one final note about Silver that struck me listening to that tune is just how melodic his
Mm.
improvisations were. Just so inventive melodically.
If I could steer people to listen to, there's a Lester Young CD series came out, it's about 10 volumes, and it was called The President, and volume one, volume through 10, and it was him doing a Birdland radio broadcast, usually with Symphony Sid broadcasting, and he would always have different guys in the band, but he would always play the same 6 or 7 songs. So you get 10 CDs of Prez playing the same 7 songs with different guys in the band who are all young boppers getting really started on this thing. And Horace Silver's performances on that are just jaw dropping. You really get to hear the percussive thing at full tilt right there. It's beautiful.
Oh, cool. All right. So next tune is a name that's probably familiar to anybody who follows jazz, and that's the famous Bill Evans. And a lot of people first heard Bill Evans on that album called Kind of Blue, the best-selling jazz album of all time. We're going to be listening to actually a song that he recorded later and not in the 50s. Tell us about this.
Okay, yeah, I chose this because Bill Evans just keeps getting better with time. He was a very systematic practicer and musical investigator. He's really extending the block chord technique. He's really introducing, in the 50s and 60s, he was really introducing new, more closely voiced chords, or with a lot of seconds and minor seconds and everything, giving it that fuzzy impressionistic quality, but he was taking it further. And him and Gil Evans were really, I think, getting a lot of mileage out of Chopin, and getting a lot of mileage out of going further into the classical music and applying it to jazz standards. And Bill Evans writes lots of his own good music, but it's really what he plays on standards that's so incredible. And he's codifying the way the trio is going to sound now. Right. So Bill Evans was really first and foremost wanted to do, play like Bud Powell. I think Bud Powell's technique is so awe-inspiring. Bill Evans says that his approach to studying music out of necessity was to really break everything down very carefully and really know it and really study it and really make every note and go slowly and it's like a painstaking sifting through. That's kind of actually my process on piano. So I was encouraged when I read his, it's because then I'm in pretty good company and not just feeling bad about my own piano playing, being so lugubrious and slow going and studying so slowly. And then, so he's in the basement flat with Gil Evans. Gil Evans is flat with Miles, George Russell's there. They're coming up with these new sounds, introducing more of the getting deeper into Chopin and the classical stuff, not your typical classical stuff that, Duke and Art Tatum, they're doing Chopin and Debussy in particular. Duke's doing Debussy a lot, but this is some other stuff now. And the close quartered, more fuzzy voicings that Bill Evans uses, it makes the bass players have to change the way they play in the trio with him. They have to listen to him more. They have to play higher on the bass to get on top of Bill Evans's pinky, because he's playing this very constant, right in the middle of the piano, dense voicings. It's like trying to sing that note in the middle there. It's going to be difficult to sing. It's much easier to sing when it's harmonized in thirds and sixths. But now that's being harmonized with semitones and whole steps, major seconds, with fourths and semitones. And it's like it becomes this fuzzy, soupy. It's beautiful, but it's hard to play. So the bass players start playing really high on the bass to get on top of his right hand pinky there.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to play one of his last concerts because it's jaw dropping how far he's taken that language that he developed. It sounds like stained glass. It sounds like beautiful in a different way. It swings in a very different way. There was the reason why Wynton Kelly was in the band on Kind of Blue, yet all the songs are written by Bill Evans with Miles, is that Bill Evans, while he swings fantastic, it's just a different kind of swing from where those guys were swinging. Whether it's Wynton Kelly or Red Garland, it's a different kind of swing, feel, rhythmic nuance that was kind of a family thing for those guys. And Bill Evans, while he swings great, it's just a different kind of thing. And Miles liked that open. He wants that open chord, fuzzy chords, because it makes his trumpet sound so beautiful. He wants to showcase the beauty of his trumpet playing, and he got tired of playing everything's fast and all these, chords going by every two beats at that fast tempo. It's hard to play that, and it's not taking advantage of Miles's ace in the hole, which is how beautiful he can play. And so he's got Gil Evans writing him arrangements that set off that beauty, and now he's got Bill Evans setting up those sort of open, more mellow soundscapes on Kinda Blue, and that's the next direction. But when you listen to Bill Evans's last recordings, there's something really awe-inspiring about what a temple of beauty that he's creating. And mind you, this is on standards that have been played thousands and thousands of times, and yet you're going to find this temple of magical beauty out of this old Trojan of a song, right?
Right. Okay. Well, let's listen to Bill Evans, Like Someone in Love.